Should you invest or pay off your debts? If you find yourself with some extra cash, this might be a dilemma for you because you don't know if it makes more sense to pay off or at least substantially pay down some of the debt you've accumulated, or to invest that money and put it to work for you instead. In this video, we'll look at which one is more advantageous based on your own situation. So if that's what you're after, then continue watching this video. Hi guys, my name is Marius and welcome to Money Employed. If this is your first time here and would like to join our community of money employers and finance junkies, then make sure to subscribe. Also, if you enjoy the video, please give it a like because it really helps out the channel with the YouTube algorithm. So maybe you've been promoted lately or started a better paying job or even received a bonus. Whatever the case might be, you are making or have more money than before, and as a responsible adult, you want to use it wisely. You might have some debt that you haven't paid off yet, and just the thought of being debt-free makes you feel great, but you are also aware that you have not yet started investing. And you've heard that you can make some good returns by investing in the stock market, for example. But which one should you choose to do? Well, the answer is not always straightforward because it depends on your situation. Unfortunately, there isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of answer. Now, before we go any further, I just want to make it clear that the content of this video is for educational purposes only. If you need personal advice on this particular subject, you should seek it from a professional independent financial advisor and not listen to a random dude on YouTube. Right, so with that out of the way, let's look at this common situation where people have to decide if they should make it a priority to pay off debt or invest. Both of these are important and it could be difficult to make the right decision. On one hand, paying off debt can help not only with reducing the amount of interest that you pay, but it also has positive effects on your health because being in debt can cause a number of health issues. The most common health issues caused by debt are sleepless nights, raised blood pressure, and anxiety. But constant stress caused by debt can lead to even more serious health issues such as heart attacks. So if you think about it, paying off debt can literally save your life. On the other hand, investing gives you the opportunity to have your money make more money and grow over time into a larger pot. This pot of money would then be able to support you later in life and help you retire comfortably. Having that said, the simplest and most logical way to decide what to do is to answer these two questions. What is the rate of after-tax interest that you pay on your debt? And two, what is the after-tax rate of return that you expect to earn from your investment? So basically, if you can get a higher return from your investment than the interest you pay on your debt, then it makes more sense to invest. If, however, the interest that you pay on your debt is higher than the return you can make by investing, then you should obviously focus on paying off the debt. To make things even clearer, let's look at a quick example. So let's say that Tom has £10,000 worth of credit card debt and the interest rate charged by the credit card company is 20%. But Tom heard that if he invests in the stock market, he can make an average return of 10% per year, which is not bad. However, just by looking at the interest rate charged by the credit card versus the rate of return from investing, it's clear that Tom should focus on paying off his debt first before even considering to invest. We can also change the scenario slightly to see it from the other perspective. Let's say instead that Tom has £10,000 worth of car loan debt with an interest rate of 4.5% per year. Assuming that Tom can get a 10% return per year from investing in the stock market, it makes sense for him to invest instead of paying off his debt because he would ultimately make a return of 5.5% per year. Because he'd be making 10% from his investments, but would pay 4.5% in interest on his car loan. 10% minus 4.5% gives us 5.5%. So far, so good. But can Tom really make that 10% consistently year after year? The answer is probably not. No investment vehicle will guarantee you a rate of return or that you will ever get your money back after investing it. And although on average, over the long term, the stock market has returned a 10% per year, that doesn't mean that it will continue to do so in the future. And you should know that past performance does not guarantee future results. Now, you might point out that picking individual stocks to invest in, you can make returns between 15 to 20% per year. Although that can be the case, it's very unlikely that it will happen, unless you're Warren Buffett, who has outperformed the S&P 500 for decades. But even he's been having a hard time in the stock market over the past almost 10 years. His company, Berkshire Hathaway, has basically matched the performance of the S&P 500 since 2011. That alone gives us a good idea of how hard it is to beat the market or even match its performance. However, paying off the debt on your credit card that charges 20% in interest, for example, guarantees you a rate of return of 20% because you will not be paying interest on that debt. So basically, you're not making extra money, you're just eliminating the amount of interest that you would normally pay on that debt, meaning that you get to keep money that you would otherwise pay in interest. But deciding between paying off debt and investing also depends on your age. If you're looking to invest consistently over the long term, it might make sense to kind of do both at the same time. That's because you have time to ride out any economic downturns and benefit from compound interest. Now, if you don't know what compound interest is, here's a quick explanation. Compound interest is a simple concept whereby interest earned is added to the principal. With compound interest, you effectively earn interest on both the principal and the interest earned by the principal. Or for a more visual explanation, compound interest makes money grow on money. For example, if you invest £1,000 at the beginning of the year, and let's say you make a rate of return of 10% per year, by the beginning of next year, you will have £1,100 in your investment account. Assuming that you leave that £1,100 invested for another year, making again a return of 10% per year, at the beginning of year 3, you will have £1,210, and so on. That's how compound interest causes money to grow on money. And the sooner you start investing, the better, because the more time you have in the market, the more money your money can make you. So let's say that at age 25, you start investing £100 per month consistently for 40 years in an index fund that tracks the S&P 500. Assuming an average rate of return of 7% per year, adjusted for inflation and compounded yearly, by the age of 65, you will have invested a total of £48,000, but your investment pot will be worth almost £250,000. But let's say that you delay investing for 3 years because you want to pay off your debt first, and you get to invest for only 37 years. That means you would make almost £49,000 less in the long run just by starting 3 years late. So basically, you really need to run the numbers and see which approach makes more financial sense for you. Is it paying off debt? Is it investing? Or a combination of both, where you focus primarily on paying off your debt, but still invest a small amount so that you have more time in the market and compound interest on your side for longer. That's up for you to decide. And the last thing to consider when making your decision is, can you even afford to invest? What I mean by that is, will you invest all of your money and be left with nothing in case you have an emergency? This is critical because your priority should be to become financially stable and secure before you decide to invest. Investing is a long-term game and not a get-rich-quick scheme. Not to mention that you should never invest money that you can't afford to lose. So for that reason, I highly recommend you build your emergency fund if you haven't got one yet, before you start investing. If you want to know more about emergency funds, check out my previous video where I talk about it and how you can build one quickly. Now, if you do have an emergency and all your money is invested, but you don't have any emergency savings, you would either have to get in debt or sell some of your investments at a time when the market probably isn't doing very well. Or you might have to pay taxes or fines for selling these investments. Doing that can and probably will wipe out a good chunk of your returns, and you don't want that. So to conclude this video, choosing between investing or paying off debt first does depend on your personal circumstances. But if you have debts and you haven't got an emergency fund, I would suggest you prioritize paying off your debt, then focus on building an emergency fund, and then invest. It might take longer to start investing that way, and in the long run, you might miss out on a lot of money, but it's more important to be financially secure now. However, if you want to speed up the process of paying off your debt and building your emergency fund, find a way to make more money or reduce your expenses. There are a number of ways you can do this, and I talk about some of them in my previous video on emergency funds. And that's it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it and got a lot of value out of it. If you have, please make sure to hit the like button because it lets me know that you guys enjoyed the content that I put out. Also, if you want to show your support for the channel, subscribing and clicking the notification bell really does the trick with the YouTube algorithm. And speaking of investing in the stock market, use the link in the description below to get a free stock valued up to £100 when you sign up with Trading 212 and deposit £1. As always, comment your thoughts below and let me know if there's any particular subject that you would like me to cover. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.